Good morning, everybody. John Spielkel here from GAI Insights, bringing you the Gen AI news briefing, rating your news essential, important, or optional, putting time in your day and thoughts in your head. We have a full house today. We've got the full group of analysts as well as a fantastic guest, the founder of Colaberry, Ram Kadamaraja. Welcome, Ram. Great to have you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, everyone.
Ram is a seasoned entrepreneur, also a mechanical engineer when he started out, then went over to MIT and got a master's in entrepreneurship, did some study over at the Owner President Managers Program at the Harvard Business School, and has a very successful firm that started out actually as a training capability, a hobby, helping back in 2012, helping military veterans get jobs and people of low income. And now, Ram, how would you describe Colaberry today?
Colaberry today, we primarily work in the climate tech companies such as agriculture, utilities areas, providing them AI solutions. And the Gen AI has been disrupting the whole space. Looking forward to see how this changes the impact on the industry and new products and solutions that would be developed.
Wonderful. Well, it's great to have you here as a guest trader. Thank you so much for joining. And Ankash, let's start off with the first article, please.
Sure, thanks, John. So the first one that we have for today comes from Perplexity. They have introduced internal knowledge search and spaces.
Yes, here we have Perplexity and these notion of spaces that you can use your internal knowledge bases, external, organize them by theme or space, which seems a pretty interesting, kind of general thing. Paul, what did you think of this one? I know you're a big Perplexity user.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only myself. It's certainly come loud and clear from our whole community and our weekly learning lab that this is the go-to search tool, at least research tool for millions of people now. We've seen from the very beginning that what companies want is my OpenAI on my own data. And I think this is an important step towards that. I think it's really interesting how there's so much innovation going around extracting value out of the unstructured massive set that companies have. And given how important they are on the consumer side for research, I think it's important for the AI leader to know this. I think there's a lot of still security issues and premise deployment issues, but this is an important vendor who's already has a research capability that's better than Google in many different areas. So I rate it as important. John, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
All right, so headed for important. Amanda, what do you think here?
Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Paul. I don't know that there's much for me to add per what you said, but I agree the same thing. And again, I think just that whole security, keeps coming up as well. But no, I think this is important for the leader to know as well, because if they haven't been using it or looking into the tool, I think they should definitely look into the tool, because I agree. Pretty much everybody I know has been using Perplexity in some way, shape, or form. So I think it's important to get on that boat now. Awesome. I agree.
I would like to make a case.
Go ahead, Luna.
I would like to make a case for essential. This is the space of search is really, and there hasn't been a vendor to bridge the internal and external.
Yeah.
And they are really differentiated going at that space. They do say, maybe it's not quite there yet, but they do say that they put guardrails and security and the space so they can identify people who can view certain files and cannot, and actually protect the space from that perspective. So they're putting the right capabilities in place. And I think it's essential for business leaders to know and maybe introduce it because it's enormous power.
All right, making the case for essential here. Ram, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important, not necessarily essential, because it's another product that's coming up with the enterprise offering. On the other side, interesting thing about Perplexity is they're being positioned as somebody who is like a competitor for Google on search, and Google started as search and went into enterprise space on the search, and Perplexity is also making a move in that. All enterprises try to adapt Google search in one or other way. This is, as we enter the AI space, it's important for the AI leaders to look at this emerging and tool that's making a huge impact. So I would go for important.
And Ram, to that point, I think they do need to figure out their business model. I mean, just doing B2C research and advertising is fundamentally different than competing successfully with 100 other search vendors on the enterprise.
That's correct.
Very interesting. You know, many years ago, I had a team at Harvard Business School. We're looking at Alta Vista, God rest its soul, search engine from Digital Equipment Corporation. They had an instance where you could put it on your local machine, your company, the wide internet.
Your microphone is making a lot of noise.
Okay, let me change the mic. Here we go. Anyway, all right, so we're gonna head for important. Let's do that. Akash, next.
Yeah, the next one comes from Bessemer Venture Partners, and it talks about multimodal capabilities can unlock new opportunities in vertical AI.
This is mine.
Yeah, Ron, go for it.
I would go for optional because this is more of a futuristic view of vertical AI. This is a part of 4-part series where Bessemer is putting out there how the vertical AI is going to evolve. This is the second article in that. And also a lot of advertisement to their products and how they are going to play in this space. However, given that it's a weekend, the leaders could probably enjoy like reading the details of all the companies and where the technology is evolving. So it could be anywhere between optional and important from that standpoint, but from the content itself, it's optional.
All right, we're headed for an optional here. Good list of things, but not a lot of insight. What do you think? What do other folks think?
I actually put it as important for the same reason that Ram said. Good reading puts it in categories, pushes the envelope a little bit into the future, paints the path forward. So yeah, that's where important comes from.
Okay, so we have little with an important. I was leaning optional myself because it didn't give a lot of data or, you know, specific issues. I just felt like they're kind of talking their book here. I don't know. What do you think, Paul, Amanda, Adam?
It's optional in my mind. Yeah.
All right, we're headed for optional. All right, optional it is. Let's see. Next on
Yes, John. So the next one comes from Nvidia. Nvidia has launched a new model, Neotron 70B Instruct, which is based on Llama 3.1, and it is already outperforming OpenAI and Anthropic's models.
Yeah, how about this? You know, a supplier vertically integrating into its buyer's backyard. What do you think, here, Adam?
Yeah, it's already outperforming on specific benchmarks, we should say, right? I understand anecdotally for people who are actually just chatting with it, it's not even competing with 4.0 Mini in terms of reasoning and inference, just generally speaking. It's definitely fine-tuned for specific cases, particularly if you're going to use it on Nvidia hardware like an H100 GPU. It's just going to smash the other models in terms of speed of inference and quality. I think generally speaking, I would probably give this an optional. NVIDIA's already had some inference capabilities available on their hardware, and it's an expansion of that. But I don't know. I think I kind of tend to want to pull things down a notch when they start making claims like it outperforms other models and their cherry picking benchmark. I want to penalize them for it and not try and platform and promote it. But you know, if someone wants to make a case for why this specific fine-tuning of Llama 3.1 is more important than other cases out there where it's been fine-tuned, I'd be more than happy to support important, but I personally couldn't really get it off optional.
All right, we are headed toward optional on this one. What do you think, Ron? What do you think on this one?
I think I'm a more open source proponent, and the fact that it uses Llama as the base kind of makes me a little bit biased in my perspective. From having said that, it's from that standpoint, I feel that it's an important for leaders to look at it. Also, if you look at the article, they gave one link called like build.nvidia.com. If leaders have not seen that before, it's a fascinating link to kind of take a look at it and see what are all the models that are available out there, so which can inspire some innovative thoughts. So from that standpoint, I would say it's important to look at it.
All right, we have Kevin saying that doesn't make sense for NVIDIA to move into this territory. Ashish is saying, hey, look, they're going to continue to go here. And then Kevin is not too happy with what's going on in terms of the use of capital here. So what do you think? Others, get me on. I'm on the fence.
I think one thing that's, John, you know, talking a little bit about it. I'm really starting to wonder in my mind if we're really starting to see bifurcation of B2B versus B2C Gen AI deployments. So if you start seeing people like Expedia with a global B2C interface, direct competitors, they're really going to have some latency and speed needs, and that might move much faster to using agents and much more vertically integrated solutions than a B2B company. So I think some companies, this is really important. I mean, Nvidia is a software company and a hardware company. They're not just a chip company.
Yeah, but the argument here, Paul, that NVIDIA is getting a little bit into their customer territory by doing this. They're doing vertical integration, but I think they're experimenting and trying to understand where they stop, right? So it's in my mind, it can be important because it's NVIDIA, because of their impact on the AI space and the fact that there's a model now with it. But as another product announcement, it's optional. I would probably put it as optional for now until they demonstrate that this is really way, 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 way better, that they haven't.
All right, let's head on to an optional.
I can support the optional from that standpoint.
All right. Thanks, Ron. We're going to go for optional on this one, although very interesting and strategically interesting what NVIDIA is trying to do here as a market leader. All right, next, Ankash.
The next one comes from Meta, and it talks about their Cod Tracker 3 tool, which provides you simple and better point tracking by pseudo-labeling rear videos.
Yeah, very interesting here out of Meta. You know, we continue to see all kinds of innovation from them, especially in small. Notice, especially in small model activity here. So, Luda, what did you think about this one?
For AI leader, I think it's optional. However, having said that, there's a lot of interesting innovation of how they got this model to be 1,000 times less needing space and light. So performance-wise, they pushed the boundary quite well. And the performance, look at the videos. We can't quite see it, but if you open this article and look at the videos, this is amazing, right? How they are tracking the points even through occlusions and the like, right? This is the bike going behind, and then you can track it still. So. Yeah, I think technologically this is a significant push in the right direction, a lot of innovation, but optional.
Okay, optional for the AI leader, very interesting for somebody doing small models or on-device things, which I'm sure Meta is very interested in. What do you think, Adam? Where'd you come out on this?
Let me. Oh, good. I'm off mute. Yeah, I think this is probably optional. I'm still more what's it called? Their SAM, their segment anything model. I think that's heavier and it's larger, but this feels more incremental to me. It seems like Meta keeps moving in this direction, but it wasn't sort of a massive step change that would really warrant getting the leader's attention. So I was optional.
Yeah, the main technique was using the current trackers, point trackers, to label lots of real videos at scale, right? And then use that to train the student model that was pre-trained on synthetic data, and then build this model. So it's a number of steps that allow this pre-training or labeling the real video in contrast with the synthetic data. That's the innovation. And I think this will be in other places. So the innovation is good, I believe, but yeah, not for.
Yeah.
I will just add, sorry, Ram, before you jump in, that's 2 articles tonight about new methods towards generating synthetic data for training, right?
Right.
So that is certainly a heavy trend we're seeing here. Sorry, Ram, please go ahead.
Oh, no. Yeah. So I second that. From a technical standpoint, it's a innovation and very effective way of using resources. It's if I remember, okay, there is like a statement that says prior work achieves better results using 1,000 times less test data. So that's a huge advantage, especially for research and like testing new methods. And but from a leader standpoint, it's optional.
Yeah, it's so funny. I keep thinking about this, from my limited understanding of the evolution, the history of operating systems for regular, things. And you kept seeing you kept seeing the creation of components and optimization, and then clever things that were down at the hardware level, that then became into software. And it's just, I think in terms of the semantic operating system, we're seeing that same, evolution over time. And we're really early days. I mean, and you had some very, back when the guy who started Systems Dynamics, Jay Forrester, right? He created the core memory notion, in terms of putting, magnetic cores in XYZ space, and he made a fortune with that, and that launched the whole field of system dynamics. I mean, it's very interesting. I just want to go said to one quick thing Ashish said about, we're going to go optional on this one. It's interesting about Nvidia. Ashish is saying, hey, I think they're going to actually go into vertical data centers. Interesting question. And the data centers are clearly very capital intensive. And of all the mega market cap companies right now, Nvidia is probably the most capital intensive compared to somebody like a Microsoft, which is going from software to actually having to build data centers and so forth. Interesting market dynamics there. All right, Ankash, next, please.
Okay, the next one that we have comes from Google. Google has updated their NotebookLM tool that they have launched in the past few weeks, and it's getting a lot of publicity everywhere.
Yeah, boy, the first one blew my mind. I don't know.
Yeah,
behind. Thank you, Ron. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an optional. It's a product announcement, and also it's not available. It's basically an announcement to sign up for beta. But yes, the NotebookLM, it has been a fantastic tool. I use it almost every day, and recommend it to my team, and they love it. So it's both for research and even for marketing and all kinds. And the audio generation capabilities and analysis is like amazing. Like when I shared some of the commentary about some of the influential people, they're like, wow, this is better than NPR can tell about us. So it's a very, very interesting tool, but it's an optional. It's a product announcement.
I agree. I'll just add that they really missed an opportunity here not to have a podcast about this article in the article.
Right. Yeah, dogs, everybody, yes. Like whatever the cobbler's, children or whatever. That's, yeah. So I mean, very powerful tool. And I think what Ashish is saying here, and Michael as well, voice is very interesting. It continues our observation that conversation is the operating system of humanity, and voice matters.
Yeah. So the one funny thing, I don't know whether you guys saw it on Reddit. There was a post where the NotebookLM went into a spiral recognizing that it's an AI, and it was like a funny podcast to listen to.
Yeah, it's gonna get stranger before it gets less strange. All right, so we're gonna give this thing an optional, but what an interesting underlying technology. Akash, next, please.
The last one that we have is around a new model called Aria. It's a first open multimodal native mixture of experts model.
Akash, if you could scroll down, I mean, just in terms of some of the different things this can do and munch down, very interesting. What do you think here, Amanda?
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of information overload in here. So I was kind of on the fence whether I thought it was important or optional. I mean, the main thing that sticks out more than anything is just multimodals, period. So if you're interested in reading more about, companies working with this and then this whole MOE, so this whole mixture of experts framework, basically what it's saying is it's designed to improve efficiency of large neural networks, things like that, looking at sort of this subset of model parameters for quote unquote experts. So there is a little bit of information in there if you kind of dive in. There's a lot to digest. But I'm on the fence here, whether it's optional, because again, there's a lot of content in there, but I was leaning more towards important though, just again, for the fact of, if you haven't been following some of the companies that are digging into multimodal models and things like that, I would say just, you might want to check this out. But again, I don't know. I'm on the fence if this is just optional because there's a lot of content. Not only that, it's kind of saying how great it is again. And I couldn't tell because it says rhymes.ai, not directly from Aria, but I kind of felt like they're kind of patting themselves on the back as well, saying how great it is, but I couldn't tell. So if somebody else could weigh in at all to see if they're kind of the ones putting out the benchmarks, that's when I get weary as well. How good is this actually performing? So I'm on the fence. If somebody wants to say if you feel optional or important.
All right. We're fencing Amanda here, I think, with a very good argument to be on the fence. What do you think here, Paul?
Yeah, I think this is it's optional. I mean, I think it's AMD's continuing to, make a lot of noise. Intel's really struggling. We heard they might be laying off 15 to 20,000, but I think we're flooded with benchmarks. I think optional in my mind.
All right.
I was important. I'll tell you why. Because
okay.
AMD and a really good team of scientists working on models, and I think with good results, is an important shift, right? So it's potential competitor to Nvidia in AMD in verticalization. They haven't done as much as Nvidia, obviously, but that's what they're kind of trying to do. So it's an important trend to watch.
All right.
Well, if I can chime in, they're talking about running these multimodals efficiently. Almost like when you look at the parameter efficiency, they talk about 3.5 billion parameters versus 12 billion in Pixtral and 11 billion in Llama. It's if somebody is looking to effectively run build the models, etc. I think it's worth taking a look at it as the industry is evolving because it as the industry evolves, the cost should come down and to bring the cost down, more efficient models, less expensive hardware need to be used, and I think AMD's, Intel's, they're trying to position in that space. But just from the how they are approaching this and how to, and also we've been talking about small learning models becoming more important in the future. So much efficient hardware and ability to process build models in a much more efficient way is important for leaders to pay attention to. From that standpoint, I would mark it as important.
Yeah, I was leaning toward important, maybe even essential. I'll tell you why. And Akash, you'll just kind of scroll slowly through the whole article toward the end and everything. There's really interesting illustrations. As far as I could tell, this was the most capable small model, definitely going at multiple experts and multimodal. And I just think, the next 12, 15 months is going to be more and more of these small models and capabilities. And So for me, it was at least important, maybe essential, to just make sure our AI leader understands that you don't have to go to the big models to get a lot of performance nowadays, and that's going to push that. That's a huge architectural issue, like in terms of either putting it, owning your own intelligence or putting it on devices and so forth. It's just this is really quite impressive, I thought. So I'm not going to go totally, non-democratic here and say essential, but we're headed kind of to our important. Anybody on the essential bus with me?
No. It's a big bus, John.
Think of possibilities, Paul. Come on. All right, we're going to get this one important, very interesting implementation in terms of multimodal on a 3 billion parameter model, and with some good vertical integration partners here. All right, so I've got you putting the full tote together. Paul, get us what's up Monday for our learning lab.
Yeah, so Monday, our learning lab, we are going to collectively as a team walk through the state of AI report that's annual report from Nathan Benach, who does a fantastic job. It's a really detailed report. We're going to talk through some of the major trends. So I encourage people to jump on that. And the other big thing, but we continue to do a lot of work on total cost of ownership, which is really forcing us to think, like, how many tokens do I use a day? 30,000 or 50,000. Ram sounds like you use quite a bit, and trying to figure out how that might change and how that really is going to affect companies in terms of total consumption of tokens on enterprise level is an important research. But Monday, join us 7 o'clock Eastern.
Yes, and it'd be actually at the beginning of Monday, Paul. I'm wondering if we could just get some folks to just share what they think their daily token use is.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. All right, everybody, let's see. Here's our big tote board. We have 2 importance and 4 optionals. So Perplexity and Aria, and everything else optional. Lots going on here. I think our predictions around the activity and inference and smaller models continues to grow. And then I just continue to be amazed by the speed with which this is doing. I thought Michael Novak said something interesting, which is that we're going to have an internet of models talking to models. We shall see. All right. All right, with that, goodbye, everybody. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Ram. Thank you so much for joining. Analysts, great to have a full house here, and talk to you all on Monday. Bye now.
And
Like
the
us on
audience.
YouTube.
Like us.